This video will contain spoilers for Spider-Man No Way Home. You have been warned. If you have not watched the movie yet, then please click off this video because you are going to be absolutely spoiled for it. But with that being said, hello and welcome to WhyZ, and thank you so much for joining in. Today we are going to talk about a topic which I wanted to discuss for a really long time, and this has re-emerged for me after I watched No Way Home last week, and that is in relation to probably the lesser known or the lesser loved Spider-Man in the form of the Amazing Spider-Man Andrew Garfield. Now, No Way Home brings back the trilogy, brings back the two prior Spider-Men, that is Tobey Maguire as well as Andrew Garfield. The setup for this was really huge, and even though we were getting leaks about it for a very long time, but still, just to get to see these characters together along with Tom Holland in the MCU, it was like a dream come true moment. I know many people will say that this was overrated or this was not really that well executed, but honestly for me this was amazing, and I just want to thank Sony and Marvel for actually providing this to us, for actually making this even possible. I still can't believe, it's been almost a week since I watched the movie, but I still can't believe that we actually got to see these three characters together hugging on screen. This was amazing. I'm going to watch this movie again with friends towards end of December, and once it arrives upon Disney Plus, obviously this is going to be a staple for me. But beyond the narrative of the movie, just for the future of the MCU, I want to talk about one particular topic, which is in relation to the other two Spider-Men who came from the alternate universes. Now, Tobey Maguire is obviously everyone's fan favorite. He was the first Spider-Man after all. He was the titular protagonist of the Sam Raimi series, which is literally close to everyone's heart. It has probably one of the highest rated comic book movies of all time in the form of Spider-Man 2. And the overall reception for this trilogy is amazing, despite it being a little weak in the form of Spider-Man 3. Now, we all know the news or the story about Spider-Man 4, the quote-unquote unreleased Spider-Man 4 of Sam Raimi, which was supposed to be released but it was cancelled in the favor of the Amazing Spider-Man. Now, the audience here can say that since Tobey Maguire has actually appeared in the MCU now, maybe we can get a Spider-Man 4, and I'm not saying that it's wrong. I would really love to see a Spider-Man 4 because why not? Tobey Maguire is really a fan favorite for the audiences, so why not? And even before proceeding to Andrew Garfield, we also have the leaks, the quote-unquote rumors about Tobey Maguire actually somewhat appearing in the future of the MCU, especially at some moment during Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. I'm not sure how true these claims are going to be, but either way, it's sure that he is somehow going to make a comeback, even though if it is not a Spider-Man 4. But moving forward to Andrew Garfield, my goodness, what a year it has been for him. It's not wrong to say that 2021 is the year of Andrew Garfield. He had such a talented performance in the musical, and then his outstanding performance in Tick Tick Boom. And now with No Way Home, he has just proven himself. He has redeemed himself, and not just in the actual movie but in front of the eyes of the audience as well. Now, the common consensus for quite a long time was that Tobey was the better Peter Parker and Andrew Garfield was the better Spider-Man. Because Andrew's Peter always seemed to be a little too cool for the character of Spider-Man. Sure, he needed his quirkiness, sure he needed his quips, his entire behavioral pattern and his sarcastic outtakes on the villains, but his Peter Parker was not the nerdy guy which everyone loved Peter Parker for. He was not really the relatable underdog who was bullied by other people, who actually rose above his problems. Sure, Andrew Garfield's Amazing Spider-Man tried to portray all of these things, but his persona, his personalization was just too cool for the character. On the other hand, Tobey's Peter Parker was actually able to portray the nerdiness and the relatable nature of Peter Parker as a character, and generally it was the reverse for their counterpart of Spider-Man. Tobey's Spider-Man was always a little bit older than his actual self. He used to be much more self-contained and much more uncool but heroic at the very same time. But on the other hand, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man was actually very on point with his quippy nature, his heroic tales, and everything that ensured. But this movie, Spider-Man No Way Home, really gives us the true range of emotions that Andrew's Peter Parker actually can portray. Obviously, I and a lot of other people were more excited to see Tobey Maguire back in the cinema, and it actually happened. I was really happy to see an older version of Tobey, who, if I'm not wrong, is actually around 38 or 39 in the actual movie, in the in-universe of the MCU. But here, Andrew Garfield just outshined everyone else. In my humble opinion, the best parts of this movie, that is No Way Home, were definitely Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin, who is the top tier, who is actually the best part of this movie, and the person who comes second is definitely Andrew Garfield's Amazing Spider-Man. And not only has he nailed it with his performance, with his stellar performance, but the entire story revolving him is just oozing persona and is making the audience go crazy to ask for more. One more time, one more movie. Let's make Amazing Spider-Man 3. We need this movie. We absolutely need this movie. Andrew Garfield really outshined everyone from the very moment he appeared on screen. The manner in which he was able to understand Peter's problems, that is Tom Holland's problems, the way in which he personified his own problems, and how he understood and told his problems to the entire audience with just a key set of emotions, it was just stellar nonetheless. And the story which is actually being portrayed here, it's making the audience go crazy, because here we get to see the aftermath of Gwen Stacy's death. He is still suffering from all of these things. Andrew Garfield has still not recovered. His Peter Parker has still not recovered after the events of Gwen Stacy's death, because she was after all the love of his life. And here, one line, just one line from Andrew Garfield is making me want to see this movie so much, and that is, after a while, he stopped pulling his punches. This line is just giving me goosebumps, because longtime fans of Spider-Man and comic book fans of Spider-Man know how devastating and how deadly Peter Parker can actually be if he stops pulling his punches. This has been shown to us numerous times before. Not numerous, but a couple of times before. There are two incidents which immediately come to my mind. The first one is during the Civil War saga. When Peter revealed his true identity to the world, it started creating a lot of problems in his personal and professional life as well, especially the one involving Kingpin, where Kingpin started to target his beloved Aunt May. And Peter was not taking this shit at all, and he just went and wrecked the shit out of Kingpin. And this was not Spider-Man, but rather it was a statement made by none other than Peter himself. He literally smacked the shit out of Kingpin, and the paneling here was absolutely gruesome, which made everyone remember that you do not piss off Peter Parker, that is Spider-Man. He is holding his punches, and this is just the beginning. I really want to see a moment where Peter Parker unleashes everything when he showcases his full strength. Another great example for this would be a series which involved Dr. Octopus himself, wherein for a brief amount of time he became the Spider-Man in the form of Superior Spider-Man. And when he inhabited Peter Parker's body, he literally broke the jaw of a criminal, and that's when Otto realized that all these years Peter had been pulling his punches. So a movie which involves a ruthless Peter Parker who is not stopping, who is not pulling his punches, especially after an incident which involves the death of Gwen Stacy. So this is something which Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker actually says to Tom Holland's Peter Parker, and this makes the audience go crazy, and we really want to see just one more movie, one more time to see him suit up. There are a lot of different scenarios which could be portrayed by him, and Sony can really make a buck out of this. This is going to be amazing, and just the overall personification of Peter Parker during this entire movie was just amazing. From the moment where he interacted with Tobey Maguire, when he gave him a massage, and when he understood the back pain, the back issues of Tobey Maguire, it was just amazing. And at the same time when he talked with Tom Holland, that was also so much wholesome. And there's also a major tease here in this particular scene. Obviously I'm not talking about the moment when Tobey Maguire says to Andrew Garfield that you are Amazing Spider-Man. That was a name drop for the movie. It was a really cool thing. But the most important point here, or the most, you could say, striking or curious point here, is that all the three are talking about their villains. Tom Holland is actually bragging about how he got to fight an alien, a purple alien, obviously in the form of Thanos. At that moment, Tobey Maguire also says that, yeah, I also fought an alien parasite, wherein he's already talking about Venom. But at that moment, Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker says that, okay, I am lame in this particular compartment because I actually fought a Russian guy in a rhinoceros suit. So that is my life, but I also really want to fight an alien, which is wink wink and obvious nod to Venom, especially after the post-credit scene, which involves or showcases us Tom Hardy's Venom. Now yes, the point can be made that the Venom symbiote has actually left some of its part in the MCU universe, so maybe we can see a Venom movie in future with Tom Holland, but at the same time, it is quite possible that he is actually transferred back into Andrew Garfield's timeline. And you know what, it would be actually better if we get to see a Tom Hardy's Venom version facing off against Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. That would be much more charismatic in my opinion. So overall, what I want to say is that Andrew Garfield has still a lot of stories left to tell. I mean, obviously I would love to see a Tobey Maguire based movie, or basically any movie involving more of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, but the point here is that Tobey Maguire's story is more or less resolved. He has been trying to make his relationship work with Mary Jane, but for the most part, his story has been told. Yeah, there can be more old man Peter Parker stories which can be told in a style of Logan, but for now, definitely 100% Andrew Garfield's story is left. There can be many things which can be done in this particular regard, and his emotions, his tone, and the way in which he has portrayed his Peter Parker here in this movie, that is No Way Home, it's just spectacular. Furthermore, he has redeemed himself when he saved MJ from falling down in a very similar fashion to Gwen Stacy, and the range of emotions that he had portrayed there, it was just spectacular. So overall, what I'm saying is that an Amazing Spider-Man 3, which sort of gives us a time skip wherein we get to see what Andrew Garfield was up until this moment before he was transferred into the MCU universe, wherein he had stopped pulling his punches. That would be amazing. And furthermore, we can get the second half of this movie wherein he is back from the MCU and we can get to see whatever happens then. That would be really amazing to watch, and in the upcoming months, I'm definitely sure that we are going to get a campaign similar to the Zack Snyder Justice League movement, wherein everyone was asking for this movie. Let's make the Amazing Spider-Man 3. Sony and Marvel, you are going to make a lot of dollars from this movie, so just one more movie, one more time. Let's make this happen. So this is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up if you like it, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more. What do you guys think about this movie and the portrayal which Andrew Garfield has given? Please do let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. That's it for today. I'll see you all on the next one.